All right, so next we're going to move a little bit further to the to the east. It's been a long day, folks. Sorry for my geology. My wife is always telling me that I have no sense of direction, and that's entirely true. But let me just show you the picture of Stag's Leap. You can see in the pictures here how kind of that reddish brown soil, and that's due to the high volcanic activity that we have here in the Stag's Leap district. So some of that volcanic activity we talked about earlier is legendary in the Stag's Leap appellation. So it's located right here where I'm pointing. It's a relatively small appellation, but it is also sort of tucked in against the base of the Bakken Range. And what happens is in the afternoon, we get those breezes come in, and the fog tends to settle right in this little, it's a valley almost within the valley. So Stag's Leap has warm days, but cooling afternoons and evenings due to the fog that kind of rushes in and just sort of settles there like a blanket. And it's not very hilly, up to 400 feet elevation. A lot of that volcanic gravelly loam soil that is relatively low in fertility. So the vines tend to struggle a little bit here. And as you probably know, anytime you are growing grapes in a soil that doesn't have a lot of fertility, that tends to minimize the vegetative growth. And instead, the vine puts its energy into ripening the bunches of grapes. So it'll stop growing leaves and shoots and put the energy into ripening the grapes, which is what you want. And this is where some legendary wines come from. So this next map will show you some of the, I don't know if you can actually see the wineries that are located here on the map. It's probably too small for you to see here, but this is Stag's Leap, and you can see it, how it just sort of sits here in this little valley within a valley. It's got famous wineries such as, Chimney Rock, Stag's Leap Wine Cellar, Stag's Leap Winery, Clos du Val, Cliff Lady, Schaefer, Odette, Pine Ridge, Silverado Vineyards. They're up and down. This road here is the Silverado Trail that cuts through the east end of the valley, so you can drive up and down and make your stops along the way. You can make a whole day of visiting wineries just right here in the Stag's Leap district. The other thing is, when I go out bike riding in the morning, a lot of times this area will be covered in fog, and about 8:30 in the morning, I'm riding along my bike up on the Silverado Trail, and I've got a little jacket on because it's definitely cool and foggy. And then when you get right about here, which is the Yountville Crossroad, there's a little break, there's a little mountain right here. In fact, Silverado Vineyards is right here. It's up on a mountain, and that mountain sort of ends where the fog sort of settles in, and beyond that, the fog is already burned off. So when I get to that point, I'm taking off my jacket. It's already 70 degrees. I just come from 50 degrees to 70 degrees in no time. So it's kind of interesting how dramatically different the temperature can be in this little valley within a valley that is Stag's Leap. And I think Stag's Leap is also famous because, again, this is where Warren Winiarski, who started Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, produced his 1973 Cabernet that won the famous Paris tasting. And that Paris tasting, again, was celebrated its 40th anniversary, which a lot of news and replicated tastings were celebrating that wonderful event. And Warren had a way of talking about his wine, which I love the description, when he describes his Cabernet from Stag's Leap, which is, I think, consistent with whoever's making Cabernet here. And that is a Cabernet that has an iron fist in a velvet glove. So if you think about that, what it means is that the iron fist is this core of rich, intense fruit with some good firm tannins, but the velvet glove is that softness, the elegance, because it has that cooler environment. It produces wines that still have a lot of finesse and beauty with that freshness and the vibrancy, with the good acidity. So the iron fist in a velvet glove sort of epitomizes what you get in Stag's Leap Cabernets, right? People love them because they're drinkable when they're young, and yet they also have the capacity to age well.